In the past episodes, we discussed the types of relationships, the various types. Now we're going to discuss how does anyone know when a person is not ready for a relationship? Are there signs? And if so, what are the signs? Stay tuned and join us for part 3 of the conversation.
Are you ready for some controversy? Yeah. Are you ready for some fun? Yeah. Yeah. Are you ready for some laughs? Yeah. Let's get unfiltered with Cycle 4081.
Welcome back for part 3 of this episode, and we're talking about how do you know when anyone, man or woman, is not ready for a relationship. So we're going to go into this and finalize this whole episode, and we may have some calling guests. We may have some guests joining us, but as far as right now, I'm going to be solo dolo and wrap this up. So in this episode, or this part 3 of this episode, we're going to talk about gender double standards. We're going to talk about personal growth angle, and we're going to talk about the real talk segment, which is what's one trait that automatically disqualifies someone from dating. Have you ever dated someone who knew you weren't ready, and what happened? So I guess if the guests come on by then, we'll ask those questions. If not, I'll answer it myself. So let's get started. Now, when it comes to gender double standards, women are significantly more likely than men to say they are not ready, not interested, or completely done with dating. I'll verify that. Data compiled by the Pew Research Center reveals a massive gender gap in the dating market. And here's the statistics. 62% of women, single women, report they have they're not actively looking for a relationship or dates right now, compared to only 39% of single men who say the same. So the main question is, are men judged the same way they're not ready to date who say that? So the answer is, in my opinion, yes, they are. No, they're not judged the same. Because we've heard the talk when women say they're not ready to date right now. And like I said, there's way more women. This says 62% to 39%, but I think it's way more than that, actually. This is my personal opinion. It's not based on anything scientific. But I will say that I think when it comes to anything, there's always going to be a double standard. Like, literally, like, this is double standard in everything when it comes to gender. So you'll say, men and I think it's actually men will get judged more harshly when it comes to this. We expect women to say they're not ready because obviously for various factors, and we mentioned it in part 1 and 2. But when men say it, they're judged more harshly. Like, dude, pull your pants up, put your big boy pants on. So, are they judged differently? Absolutely. Matter of fact, you might even say or hear that people call the guy maybe gay or whatever because they're not ready to jump in there in that dating pool. Like, dude, why not? So you'll hear that. I think that right there is probably the easiest thing to point out when it comes to gender double standards. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's history or tradition. Maybe society itself thinks that men should always be ready and out there to, start a family, to, be the leader or hard charger when it comes to getting relationships. Some women don't even want to be the one who initiates things when it comes to relationships. So, that's a little different. But check this out. Now, I like Psychology Today. You can check it out on the internet. Just type in Psychology Today. When it comes to all different types of conditions and thoughts, social debates, check them out. But according to Psychology Today, women mature emotionally faster than men due to a combination of accelerated neurological development and distinct societal tracking. And that's the difference when it comes to Western society, especially in the United States. That last part, distinct societal tracking. Okay. The neurological development, that should be even across the board, no matter where you are. But yeah. So according to a Bloom Behavioral Health, that's a website. You can Google those too. Bloom Behavioral Health. Neuroimaging data and the psychological studies show that while both sexes eventually reach full structural brain maturation around 25, that's interesting because I can swear it's much later in men, the internal timelines and social expectations driving emotional growth differ. Not different, but substantially. So, question we ask people: do we hold women to different standards of emotional maturity or stability? Do we? Of course we do. I just said it. We think that men often mature slowly or later, whereas a woman matures much faster. And I think the indicator for that would be look at how we do relationships. It's much more common practice for a man to take a much younger woman, and there's a lot of things around that. Why is that so? And a lot of women don't want a younger man outside of the physical aspect. They want somebody who's one that's going to be able to match them emotionally or more established. So that comes with emotional maturity and stability, as we said. So, and I think most of the time men don't really care about a woman's stability. The most emotional maturity, yes. But even in younger women, they seem to be on a higher plane than we were as men at a younger age. So I think that is something that's really easy to grasp. Even with kids, we expect our daughters to be emotionally more mature at a certain age than our guys. So even then, look at, I'm gonna give you a story about not really a story, but when I was in the military and I was in my 20s, let's say 18 to 25 or 26. Looking back at all the things that we used to do, how we thought, we thought anybody who was 30 or 35 was old. Matter of fact, we used to call them old crusties at 30 and 35. But looking back at how we were during that time, I'm like, we were responsible for a lot of different things, and we can handle that. Even at age 18, 19, we were doing some grown man shit. However, when it comes to relationships and other things, we weren't really that mature. We tried our best, I guess, but when you compare to how we were when we were in our 30s, or how our coworkers or our friends were at older ages, no, we just didn't have it, and I think that's a really good indicator on the differences. So we do expect, women at age 25, age 30 to be more emotionally, stable. Even especially when they get into their 30s, 35, whatever, we tolerate less when it comes to women because, we just in our head, and especially in this society, think that they should be way ahead. So, men do stupid shit well into their 40s, and it's okay because we'll say, oh, boys will be boys, men will be men, whatever. That's the cop out we give when it comes to accountability for our actions. So Yeah, it's definitely totally different. And here's a question for you guys, for you listeners. And I want you to, you can give me some feedback. You can email. That's what we're going to do this. We're going to make this a partnership. You can email me at unfiltered.psycho4081@gmail.com. Or when I post the little clips of it, you can actually go on Facebook or Instagram and make comments on any of the posts, reference this. But I want to get your inputs on this. How do you feel about this? Is the idea of sitting out the dating pool applied fairly across genders? Is the idea of sitting out the dating pool applied fairly across genders? I think I kind of answered that, but I'm going to say an emphatic no, because I think most of us can agree that men don't just sit outside the dating pool. We're not as emotionally sound or in tune, or how would he call it? Emotional intelligence. Yeah, we're not as emotional intelligent as ladies at certain ages. So we don't sit out the dating pool. We go in there and we just say, flow like water. It is what it is. Go in there and see what happens. Not with any intent. Just jump in there, see what you can hook, and see how it goes based on what you hook. Which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's a great idea. There's no pressure, But there's a lot of women out there, and some men, but mostly women, that actually go out there and date with intent. They want to date with the intent that we're going to work towards the ultimate goal of being married. Not all. So for all those ladies out there that want to say, well, every woman don't want to get married. That's not our goal. No, you don't. But there's a lot of them that's there that want to get married, and they want to date with intent, especially when compared to what men do, what men want. Sometimes we don't want to date with intent. We want to date and see where it takes us. Blow like water. You ever heard that? Go check out, what's that Bruce Lee movie, Enter the Dragon, when he tells the little kid, he says, well, I don't know if that particular scene, but basically he says, flow like water. I should have found out what that was before I actually mentioned it. But anyway, the thing is, we like to see how it goes. Jump in that river, and wherever that river takes us, maybe that's where we'll go. I don't have a problem with that. But that's men. Now, when it comes to women, we expect more from them. We expect them to make themselves available in the dating pool. We expect them to be ready to be out there in the dating pool. And if you're not, if you have emotional hangups, unresolved trauma, any of those things that cause that we know is going to be potential problems or even deal breakers, then yeah, sit out. We don't mind that. We expect that. But I think society doesn't expect that for guys. They expect guys to just jump out there with whatever baggage you have, and then they expect the woman to deal with whatever baggage you have, which is unfair. So I don't want anybody out there to think that, I'm basically nullifying any accountability with men. It's not that. It's not that. So, but yeah, the double standard. We always talk about double standards, and I think that there's going to be a double standard in every facet of American society specifically, but other ones like African cultural traditional stuff, Asians, same thing. They have a way of doing things. They have a way of doing things in Europe, a little bit different from the other ones, but yeah, there's always going to be a double standard, and I think you should have double standards. I'm not against double standards. I always say that, we are not the same. Just because I can do it or I should do it doesn't mean that you can. That's the reality of life. We're not built the same. We're not supposed to be the same. If that was the case, women would be men and men would be women, and you wouldn't be able to differentiate between the two. But nature, the universe, has made us different for a reason. There's a purpose to everything. So one thing I want to go over too, and this is the second part of that, the personal growth angle when it comes to relationships. How do you know you're not ready? So what are the signs someone should take a break from dating? Should you take a break from dating when the process of finding a partner begins to erode your mental health? I wrote these down, y'all. Or erode your esteem or your personal autonomy, which I think is big personally for me, my personal autonomy. Recognizing when to step away prevents, dating burnout and stops you from bringing unresolved frustration into new relationships. So all that to say is, what are the signs that someone should take a break from dating? I'm going to say, one, if you know you have super high expectations, and I'm not talking about regular reasonable expectations. It was like a super high expectations. No, you don't need to be in a dating pool, because all you're going to do is waste time, maybe get yourself more frustrated. But when you get in there and you start feeling that, it's not emotionally or psychologically, mentally healthy for you, time for you to jump back out and wait it out. Resolve some issues that you have. Or get to know yourself. Get to know actually what you like. A lot of people don't know those things. But find out, what do you actually like? What do you want? What are you going to tolerate? What are you not going to tolerate? All those things you can take the time to discover, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's something you could do for yourself. You can't do it with others, but you can do it for yourself. Also, you can take the time to self-examine. If I said that right. Do a self-examination. Find out what really bothers you. Find out what your flaws are. Find out, were you actually the problem in past relationships? All those things matter. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say that. And I don't know, because I've never experienced it. I've never experienced dating burnout. And I'm not talking about like if I was dating and I had a bad situation. Was I hesitant to get back in the dating pool? Obviously, the past relationship can affect your current or your future relationship. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I don't think I ever experienced dating burnout. I was never in there long enough to be burned out from it. So, and I don't know if it's fair to say that I don't say fair, but accurate to say that I've brought unresolved frustrations into new relationships. Matter of fact, I think I have. I'm not even gonna say that. I'm sure I have, and I could point out to one particular. I actually know two. Now that I think about it, I think I've done that with every relationship. Unresolved frustration into new relationships. We got Paulie Love just chiming in, coming live and direct from the. Well, I ain't gonna tell you where his location is, but he's coming live and direct.
Live and direct, Paulie Love.
So I was talking about. I'll go from the beginning. I spoke on a gender double standards, and I spoke on personal growth angle. Right, just to recap something I said, and I threw out I throw a statistic: 62% of women report that they are not actively looking for a relationship or dates right now, compared to only 39% of single men who say the same. So, are men judged the same way when they say they're not ready to date?
Absolutely not.
What did they say? All right, and I said, this is what I said.
Oh, okay, so when men say they are not actively pursuing a relationship, they get the side eye, and they almost get shamed. Like, why you not ready? Why you not ready? What's going on with you? But on the reverse, when a woman says the same thing, they're met with almost a respect tone. That's
Yes,
that's that's from what I gather.
yes, that's exactly it. I even went further to say that, if a guy said that they're not ready to date, you know, I think people would start thinking or saying in their little circles that, oh, he must be gay.
Oh, absolutely. What's wrong with you? You gay? That's
Right.
absolutely.
So the expectations are different, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, and I said it earlier. I said I'm not opposed to gender double standards. Let me say that out loud and
Right.
clear. I
Right.
am not opposed to double standards, gender double standards, because we are different. Don't try to be like me because you're not me. I'm a man. You're a woman. That's how it is. We were built differently. We act differently. And I think where the problem comes in when men and women think that they're the same, you're setting yourself up for a fall. But yeah.
I agree 100%.
Well, all right. So let me ask you something. We This is from Psych. I don't know if you ever gotten on the website Psychology Today, but they said that women mature emotionally faster than men due to a combination of accelerated neurological development, which is a biological thing, and distinct societal tracking. Now, Bloom Behavioral Health said neuroimaging data and psychological studies show that while both sexes eventually reach structural brain maturation around 25, which I do not believe, the internal timelines and social expectations driving emotional growth differ substantially. So the question was, do we hold women specifically to different standards of emotional maturity or stability? I said yes. We do feel that women mature faster than men. I think it's evident because we
Yes.
see it. So
Everyday life.
every
Yes.
day. So at an
I
earlier
don't I don't
age,
think men I don't think men really, if you had to put a number on it, I don't think men really mature until the ages 32, 33. Most men, as far
that
as like emotional maturity, as far as relationship wise.
I agree. I said 30 to 35 before. And I use my own personal experience, like when I know when I was in the military, right? And we were 25. And even though we had all this responsibility, we were adults, we were, handling, $1 million worth of equipment, and, we had lives that
Right.
depended on us, all those type of things. A full mature adult. The thought process and the things we did on the our off time was definitely not mature, not even close. And I
Right.
think it
Right.
didn't change until, like, for me personally, until I was like in my 30s. I had kids, or I started getting kids, and I think that kind of accelerated for me. But and from my experience, women have always been more mature at certain ages or earlier ages than men, and I think that's why you see older guys with younger men. Not just because guys like younger women, but women like older men because they're more mature than their
Yeah.
people in that same age range. So I don't think it's unfair to hold them to a different standard.
I don't either. And just to take off with my personal experience, and when I was 21, 22, 23, 24, I was not ready for any type of relationship, even though I was in a relationship, I wasn't ready for it.
Right.
And then when I got into the military, I joined the military when I was 24, 25. I know I wasn't ready for a relationship, but I got into one because that I thought that that was what I was supposed to. Then I realized that, uh, yeah, I really, I didn't, I made a mistake, but but then I had a kid, so you mature when you have kids because there's a set of additional responsibilities that you have to take on. So,
Right.
yeah, I don't think I was emotionally or relationally mature until the age of 32, probably 33.
But that's a good point you made, because you said that you did what you thought was expected of you, right? And I think
Yes.
for a lot of guys, maybe women too, but we don't have anybody who's a woman here to verify this. But a lot of guys, I think we fall in those situations because specifically for that, we're doing this because this is what we're expected to do. We're expected to be married and have the kids and maintain the household and the car and the white picket fence and all those things. We're expected to do that. And the fact that we are emotionally ready never comes into play. Like literally, it never factored in anything. And I think that right there, basically
Yeah,
killed the relationship.
yeah, because at an early age, men are saddled with a lot of expectations that they're not
Yeah.
emotionally ready to handle at that age. So I definitely agree. That's what kills the relationship.
I agree 100%. Like,
What's up? What's up?
we got Dimitri here chiming in. All right, Dimitri, the question we was talking about was double standards. Do you think women mature?
I got to guess what I got to guess with me too.
Who?
You're gonna be in and out. Wayne Crespo.
Wayne reparation man.
He
So
said reparations, man.
so for you guys, for you specifically, do you think that women mature faster than men, and do we hold women to different standards when it comes to emotional maturity or stability?
You asking me?
Yes.
Do I think that women mature faster than men, and do we hold them for emotional support? Is what you say security?
Yes. Emotional maturity or stability
No,
emotionally.
I, I don't think women. It's about to be controversial. I don't think women mature faster than men. Um, because they're in their feelings 24/7, no matter what the circumstances is. And whether y'all agree with me or not, I just from what I've seen, you know,
So you're
no
saying
matter
basically that women are the same from the time that they're 16 to 45 emotionally.
yes,
Really?
more than us men.
Okay. So I'm going to say, now, if like I said, it's not a scientific basis, but I'm going to say that women who are probably like 19 or 20 are probably the equivalent emotionally to like probably a 30-year-old man. So I think they do mature faster and more stable emotionally than a man would. And that's based on what I've seen in my experience. So there's no there's no scientific thing except for this poll that they did, or this analysis they did that say at 25 we're full structural brain maturation around 25. That's what the Bloom
Right.
behavioral health people said. So yeah, I do think that's different. But now let me ask you something. Have you ever told somebody that that you're taking a break from dating?
Have I ever told somebody that?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm still trying to date.
So
I can't.
have you ever heard a woman say that they're taking a break from dating?
I have heard a woman say that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we was getting at, right? So why do they look at men differently that say they want to take a break from dating versus when a woman say it?
Because, like I said, it goes like what I said. They get in their feelings fast, and they look at us as if they look at them as if they the treasures, and they look at us as if like you're lucky, not yeah, like you're lucky to just be with us. You're taking a date from dating, you know what I mean? So you're taking a break from dating. It's the mentality they have towards us. They feel like we the men, we supposed to always want to chase after them and cater to them. Yeah.
I agree. I think I said that. I think a lot of women don't. Well, I've heard them. Women say, "I'm not going to chase a man." I've heard that. Some believe that a man should be the only one to initiate that whole chase, so to speak. Right.
Right.
But let me ask you something.
because because they feel like they're the prize. That's the thing.
Right.
They feel like a man is always supposed to be in constant pursuit and hunt because once again, they look at it as I'm the prize. So you need to be, even if I reject you or even if I'm saying I'm taking a break, that shouldn't deter you. You're supposed to be determined and to pursue me all the time.
Okay, so
Right.
now is that all right? So what I believe, me personally, I think the prize is the woman. I do believe that. I do believe that when we go out into this dating pool, the prize is for us to get the person who is going to match us, that's going to complement us, that's going to be, whatever. And I guess it works the same way with women, but I don't know. I guess that can
Can I
go
ask
either
you,
way. Yeah,
Brian? Can I ask you something?
absolutely.
Why do you think that the woman is surprised? Like you have good men out there, us, that. Okay, this is why I say that. It's hard for a woman to find a good man because a lot of men, you know, do whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy to find a good man, a guy that works, take care of the family, do all of that. You know what I mean? I don't think we should. I don't want
Okay,
to
well,
make
no,
this
you
too
know
kind.
what? No, I
I
think
think
that
we
does make sense. That what you just said doesn't make sense because if you look at it that way, where that there's less so-called good men than there are good women out there, so the challenge for a woman to find a good man is way greater than it is
right,
for a man to find a good woman. So I think that's what
right,
you're saying, right?
yes,
Okay, so
exactly.
if you put it that way, I think I could probably concede that. Yeah, I think so. I think there's way more good women than there are good men, and not just by population, because there's always more women than men. But I think it would be more challenging to find a good man than it is to find a good woman. What do you think, Paul?
Well, look, yeah, because look at the statistics. Let's break it down. You got you got half of us incarcerated. Okay, then you have a large number that are saddled with baby mama drama and multiple kids. So they looked at as not desirable. Then you have a large section that are, you know, transgender, bisexual, whatever you want to call it. But so now you're chopping away at the numbers. So yeah, it is. It reduces the good men pool down to a small percentage. So yeah. So
Okay.
if you really want to think of it, I know perception wise, yeah, the woman is the prize. But if you really want to think about it statistically, the man is the prize based on those numbers, those factors.
Okay. All right.
Exactly.
So okay, you gave me a different perspective. I will concede my point because yeah, you made a very valid argument. Less men are available. That's one. And then the ones that are available, you got to worry about those extra factors of not really available, not really wanting to be in a relationship, not really wanting to do or be responsible, whole bunch of different things. So yeah, okay, so ladies out there who's listening,
Not, and I and I didn't even include the financial aspect. That's a big one.
right? Because you have
That's
to
what I
make more
said.
than them. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So all you ladies out there who are listening, men are the prize. So act accordingly. So, all right, now thinking about getting in and out of this whole dating pool thing, how long should what's a reasonable amount of time for somebody to step away from the dating pool to work on themselves?
You said time frame or a reason.
Yeah, like how long should someone step away from the dating pool to work on themselves?
I personally, me, I think that's a personal. I think that's a personal situation. It's really no time frame. I just feel like when a person keeps engaging in uh, uh, the dating relationships that don't produce nothing good for them, then that's when they need to step back and do self reflection and say, "Hey, is it me? Because it can't always be that person. Is it me, or do I have to change some things?" So I think the time frame differs from particular person.
Okay, I would agree with that. Um, my default answer would be as long as it takes for you to feel that you are ready. So whether it be a year,
Yeah,
6 months,
that's a perfect answer.
right?
That's a perfect answer.
Okay. Then let me ask you guys a personal question. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to step away from the whole dating pool to work on yourself?
Not not me. Um, no.
So you always swimming in that dating pool.
Uh, yeah. Yep.
He,
Absolutely.
he's a consistent swimmer. He's a consistent swimmer.
What about you? I don't. All right, for me, I don't think I can't recall any time where I
Hey,
said to myself consciously that I needed to step away. I just can't recall that.
Paul.
I stepped out. I stepped out within 8 hours. I was back in there swimming. I was swimming for the gold medal.
So wait a minute, wait a minute. Did you say you did step out?
I I stepped out for a day and I jumped right back in.
Oh,
I was
they.
swimming. I was swimming for the Olympic gold medal.
So you did. So I guess that's something that I don't think I've ever had to step back out. And I think we even when we step out of the I mean when we have our issues and we say we're going to step out the dating pool, we go back in because again we got to make things or do things to make us forget that you know last trauma, right? So even all right, if you're in, I'm gonna pick on Dimitri for a minute because he's the single guy, right? Can a relationship be the catalyst for growth, or is that risky? Like basically, can you get out there and seek a relationship to help grow or better yourself, or is that really risky? Like it might set you up for failure.
I would say I was man. That's a good question. I would. Okay, I'm just gonna go with. it could set you up for growth more than failure because you see that person that you in a relationship with helps you bring out what you need to work on yourself to better yourself that you didn't see to better yourself each and every day of life. So that help of companionship, I think, helps. When you're in a relationship.
Okay, okay. Paul, do you agree with that? I see the expression on your face.
I was about to say this because I was about to say the same thing because that other relationship can be the catalyst for your new relationship because that old relationship can show you A, what you don't want, and B, what you do want in a relationship. So yes, that new relationship can bring you to a higher level of growth because if you don't see better, you're not going to think you deserve or think you deserve better.
Okay, I was all prepared to actually fight that response, but I think I've been delivered. you know, so yeah, I
Hey,
agree.
think about this though. Think about this though. If you constantly living in toxic waters, right? All you know is toxic waters, right?
Hmm.
So then, as soon as you get out of the water, you like, man, the water's green. The water smell is smelling good. I can breathe better. But when you always in that toxic water, you think that's just how it's supposed to be.
Okay, okay, I get that, and I see that point. Now, how I think where the risky part comes in is that um, when you jump in a relationship and you're not ready, or you're not emotionally healed, or you're looking for that relationship to move you forward, I think that's a bit of a risk because I think there's a higher chance of the next relationship failing. So I think it can be risky, but I do agree with what you guys said. It can actually, push you into, as Paul said, better waters, cleaner waters, and stuff like that. So that's a different one. I'm gonna have to think a little bit more deeply on that one. But I got one for you too. All right, this is the the real talk segment. So we're gonna be totally honest with this. Looking at all the women that you've dated before, or you wanted to date, or potentially dated, what's the one trait that automatically disqualifies someone from dating you? When you look at a woman, what's the one trait that automatically, when you see it, or you discover it, that automatically disqualifies someone from dating you?
Woman dominance.
All right, so you say a woman who's too dominant, bossy, wants to be the head.
She's trying to be the male. Yeah,
Okay, is that a why would that be a problem for you?
because the dominance is going to come from me. I'm the man. You know, I'm gonna do my part as a man. I don't need you doing my part and trying to be your part.
Okay, so you're traditional and you feel the man should be the head, and I'm regardless of what I say, that's how I feel. I do not like to be bossed around, and I have to sometimes put things in perspective. Like, listen, I don't know who you used to dealing with, or who how you feel about whatever, maybe your dad or your past relationships, but you're not going to control me. You're not going to try to dominate me. You're not going to try. One thing I always hate, and I said this is not fair, but one thing I used to always hate is when somebody, a man, said, I have to ask my better half. I hate that word, better half. I hate that they say
Hey,
I gotta ask the wife, or I gotta ask the boss about
that
things like that.
is that oh that's my biggest annoyance. I'm in agreement. Listen,
Oh, I hate it.
you're not the boss of me. You're not you're not gonna tell me what I'm gonna do, what I'm not gonna do, what I need to say, or how I need to think. And that's the problem because a lot of these women have grown up without men in their lives. So all they see is these women they're who they are around are women who have been like that. Oh, strong, dominant, things like that, and they think that, oh, that's the way I'm supposed to be. Listen, I'm sorry you didn't have a man in your life. I'm sorry that you had a female representation. But listen here, you not gonna you not gonna be like, oh, I'm the boss, because now
Yeah,
that
I agree.
I'm gonna keep it
I'm there.
100% real. That's why I left my last relationship, because I'm a patient dude. I believe in having a strong, independent woman. That don't mean that I want a manipulative, controlling woman.
Right.
That's a totally different thing.
Right.
So, you know, hey, listen, we had to cut ties and we had to go our separate ways. And then that particular person was like, I'm sorry, I'll do better. No, you won't. No, you won't. Because this is not this because this is not, it's a reoccurring thing. It's a reoccurring thing. So once you keep doing it, that means that's who you are. And you just saying whatever you want because you just want me back there. I said it'll happen again. Adios. Termination. Done.
Right. Right. So if you Paul, if you started dating
Yeah.
a woman and you started seeing little hints that she really likes to take control or she's controlling, you automatically gonna cut it off from there.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
I'm out of there. I'm out. And here's the crazy thing. Here's the crazy thing. I won't even say nothing. I just want I won't even show up no more.
You just ghost.
So here's my thing.
Go.
This is why I say that's a big thing for me, because if they have dominance and control, they can't grow from you helping them grow either, as you being their significant partner.
But I don't know about that part, but I do understand when you said that the controlling thing. And obviously you've had experience in the past where the woman was trying to be controlling. And I think as a man, I think that's one thing you can't, I'm never going to be in a situation where I feel that the woman is emasculating me. You're not going to, put me down into a box where you're the dominant force and I'm playing the submissive part. I'm not doing that. I don't like seeing it. I don't like seeing it with other, individuals. I think now some men are made for that. I'm not going to lie. Some men are made for that. Some men want that dominant, person, but I'm not the one. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. And
Yeah, because what I'm saying is, if they're in control, everybody, both the man and woman have, and a relationship grows together, right? If they're in control and trying to be dominant or whatever, in their head they have no flaws. So they're not going to see their flaws if you try to help them with their flaws. If you try to help them with their weaknesses to get better. That's what I'm saying. That's what a dominant woman going to do.
well,
Right.
that can happen. I agree that can happen, but I think for the most part, like for what I've seen, when you had a dominant woman, sometimes they're actually forced into that position because the man has not stepped up to be, the dominant man or have the responsibility and know how to be that dominant man. So I'm gonna give them
Right.
I'm
Right.
gonna give
Right.
them a pass, but pretty much I think Paul alluded to that a little bit. Like I don't know what that dynamic was with your father or any other past person, whatever, but that's not the dynamic that works for me. It's not going to work. It's automatically going to be a fail in the future. So yeah, but as far as the one that automatically disqualifies that's not the one that does automatically disqualify it. But there's other things. I think, and I was trying to think if that's the most dominant, and it probably might be. But I don't like a disrespectful woman. I don't like, and I guess that goes back to control too. A woman that thinks they can say or do whatever, anything they want to you or about you, and whatever. I don't like to be that I don't want like to perceive a woman as trying to emasculate me. So that would be that one trait. You know, sometimes it's good for the women to take over. I like that sometimes, like especially now. This is where it works out. You go to a diner and you don't want to argue, and you get your woman to take that mantle because you know they expect that. They expect them to be a little bit argumentative, whatever. But I'm not the one who's like to bargain back and forth. I'll just boycott your business. But sometimes it's good to have the woman to come in there and be able to compliment you in certain ways and be that you know whatever that dominant force, but not dominate me. That ain't gonna happen. So yeah, that's different. But let me ask you something, Dimitri, because I know you're always swimming in that dating pool. Have you ever dated when you knew you weren't ready? And if so, what happened?
That's like three out of five times each time. So
Wait, you
yes,
said you
and
dated when you wasn't ready? Most of the time, you're not ready?
yeah, because I'm not ready because the and I guess anybody could say this because the times that I come across somebody that I'm interested in and she's interested in me, you know, it's the oddest times. So like from the last relationship, it might be a year, and then I boom run into another somebody else, you know, somebody new, and then it's like you know I jump into it, but I don't know, I didn't really recover as good as I should have, and then the next time that don't work, and then the next time it's like 3 months, and then boom, I'm not ready because that was just 3 months. You see what I'm saying? Like it's the
Yeah.
scale is like on and off, so it throws me off. So it's like it's I guess that's where I had the problems with it.
Okay. All right. Well, it's understandable. But so now going forward, have you learned from that?
Yes, I have.
And how do you know when you're
I
ready? How do you know when you're ready or not ready?
well, I've learned from that over the years. So now it's to the point I try to keep myself coached up. You know what I mean? I'm always thinking about, hey, if I meet somebody, you know, I need to have my stuff together. Number one, I need to understand that, hey, you know, they might not want to do this. Like I got it in my head now. So I've learned from it over the years of that being unbalanced. Now I'm matured into it. So now I'm like, okay, if I meet somebody, you know, you got well, you know, a woman be one that might need to be carried through the relationship as far as financial. All women ain't gonna be independent. So I learned from that. Then it's like, okay, you know, I like to joke a lot, but some women might be more serious. I gotta be ready for that. You know, I've learned it's in my head now.
So wait a
I
minute.
went through the cycles.
But you don't see that as somewhat compromising yourself? Like you said, if you have a woman that's more serious and not open to being with the jokes, and if your personality is to be a jokester, or you know you like comedy, you like to be lighthearted, whatever, and then you have this woman who's not really receptive to that. Do you conform to what do you conform to what
When you say that, are you saying she's not open to be to that, or she just don't want that?
that's not her
Like,
personality? It's just not her personality. It's not that whether she wants it or not. That's not her personality. Like you can go to one
yeah.
person.
So I'm aware of that happening.
Okay.
That could happen.
So do you cut them off then?
In the past, I wouldn't have been aware. I wouldn't have been aware of that. I would
Okay.
just walk right into it. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I'm kind of like I keep myself 3 steps. I try to keep myself 3 steps ahead. You know,
So
understanding. Hey, listen, they
so
they probably ain't gonna do the.
when you
Yeah,
say you're ready, I mean is that you're aware of all these different scenarios that could happen, and you're ready to
that I wasn't aware of in the past that I
gotcha.
went through. that didn't work out.
Gotcha. For me, I don't think I can't recall, and this is honest, I can't recall a time where I dated when I figured I wasn't ready. Because I don't think I was ever not ready to date, except for one little area. And I'm thinking, no, let me see. See, I always mess myself up. So I dated this one girl. This is back in when I was in the Navy, back in 90, I think it was 95, 94, somewhere around there. And it ended up bad. But I think the one thing I did after that, when that was cleared, I jumped into the dating pool and I started, chasing people, not for anything substantial, but I think I was just trying to heal or recover in the wrong way. So it never really turned into anything. I think maybe I'm gonna say this one young lady. She said later on, and it was unintentional. She said, I feel used, right? But at the time, I didn't make any promises or anything like that. I just was, doing me basically. And in the meantime, I think, I wasn't considering other people's feelings. So, that in itself was probably a tragedy, even if it was unintended. It wasn't, the intent was not to hurt anybody. But when you don't think about your actions and, what you're feeling, what that person's feeling, then I think those are the unintended consequences. So, yeah, I'm very much aware of that now. So, and I won't say I was ever lonely or anything like that. And I don't think I've ever felt lonely. But, this is what we do. But all right, speaking of loneliness, do you think loneliness is a valid reason to stay in the dating pool? Like just because you're lonely?
No, I don't think loneliness is a reason to stay in a valid reason to stay in the dating pool, because if you're lonely, it could be you got a lot of issues that, I mean, lonely could be also not just from a significant other. It could also be you shut out from friends that don't really deal with you. It could be you have problems, like issues with you or things with you that you have to work on for yourself to have any kind of company, whether it's with a girl or just even with friends. So I don't think, you know, I don't think being lonely is a reason to just go jump into the whole dating thing. That's my opinion.
So I think otherwise. I think loneliness is a valid reason to stay in the dating pool, because that's the only way that you can cure loneliness. You have to seek somebody out who's going to, be your comfort zone or give you that comfort, that not comfort, but that companionship that you need to cure your loneliness. So I think if you're anybody out there, if you feel lonely, I think you should be out there to date, and try to cure your loneliness. That's a valid reason.
Okay, what if you're what if you like a abuser or something like that, and you just like an asshole abuser, and people don't want to be around you and this and that. You go jump into it and you're lonely. You go jump into a start dating. That's gonna go left bad.
Well,
So it's like I feel like you kind of gotta like, before you just jump and date like that. If you're lonely, you gotta it's you gotta be work on yourself
right.
enough where you can go date before you just jump into that, whether you're lonely or not. That was my thing.
Well, yeah, I do agree with that. You still have to work on yourself, but if you're lonely, that's the only way you're gonna be able to. You might even find somebody out there who complements your issues. Like if you're an abusive person, some people like, and I've heard people say this. I've people say I like the toxic women. I like the crazy women. So you get out there, you'll find what you're looking for, but you still have to consider other people's feelings when it comes to like, don't try, if you know how the type of person you are and you like toxic relationships, you like toxic behavior, you like toxic women, whatever it is, or men, first, vice versa, don't get out there and try to push that whole agenda on somebody who doesn't like that. But I do think, if you're lonely, that's the only way to cure loneliness, unless unless you're a pet lover, you want a dog or a cat, then that's fine. You can do that. So I do agree with that, but that's cool. So anyway, I need a word of the day. I keep trying to remember to do this in the middle of the podcast. Well, give me a word of the day. One word.
Abundance.
Okay, abundance. So today's word of the day is abundance. So for those who don't know, if you get every word of the day for a particular month and you email it to unfiltered.psycho4081@gmail.com, you have the opportunity to win a prize, and whether it be a physical prize or a cash prize. It's first come, first serve. And it also depends on what location that you're in. So get those words of the days in. This is July, so we're starting basically the first episode, I believe, in July. So you get that. But I want to thank everybody from tuning in, those who tuned in and those who contributed to this very, I think is a good topic. How do you know when a person's not ready for a relationship? And we heard a different perspectives on that, and hopefully somebody will get something out of that. So stay tuned for you guys. Go to www.psycho4081.com and subscribe, because any prizes we do is going to be focused on the subscribers. I should have mentioned that earlier. If you're subscribed, go there, click on it, go to the bottom of the page, throw your email in there and your name or whatever, because once you submit your stuff, I'm going to ask you where you're from. All right, helps out when it comes to divvying out the prizes. And also you can be notified of when we have certain podcast episodes that you want to join in. So go ahead, subscribe, like, follow, share us on social media, and send it out for everybody. And stay tuned for the next controversial episode at Unlimited. I keep saying Unlimited. Unfiltered with Psycho 4081.
Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Unfiltered with Psycho 4081. Big respect to our guests for keeping it real, and love to every listener rocking with us week after week. This conversation ain't over yet. Stay locked in for the next episode coming soon. Until next time, keep it unfiltered with Psycho 4081.